Hello everyone and welcome to Total War Through the Ages. In this episode we're going to be doing, well, mostly campaign stuff, but we do have a pretty entertaining battle, at least I hope it'll be entertaining, in the second half of this episode. So if you want, actually, I guess you could go ahead and skip over all this boring campaign stuff and get to it. But as you see there, we have a massive army comprising of almost entirely urban cohorts and legionary cavalry, and also we have a few legionaries and also some praetorians mixing in, but it's actually a lot of urban cohorts, all things considered. And as you see there, I've got a lot of legionary cavalry as well. So that's going to be a pretty awesome army once we get it into where we want it and start, destroying our enemies with it. But it's a little bit a ways away from where it currently is. But we're going to kind of send it east and then down the coast, south, kind of across the bay. Is that the Aegean Sea? I don't remember what the sea is, what the water is called in between Italy and the eastern part, kind of Macedon and, the Balkans. As you see here, I'm shuffling forces around. I'm preparing an invasion force that we're going to load on ships and sail across directly east. In fact, that settlement directly east of the one on the heel of Italy, that's the settlement we're going to try and go for. So we have our navies here taking care of business and clearing out a lot of the Brutii fleets, so that we are able to so that we can safely land an army across, because I don't want the army getting completely wiped out by being captured by the ships. And as you see there, I have the worst of, I have the most trouble trying to get ships to do what I want, because they won't combine. I don't know why, but they'll never combine properly. So yeah, I have a really hard time with that, and eventually I just give up. I am able to get those ships to combine properly, but yeah, for a really long time, some of the ships just refuse to combine. I don't know why, but your guess is as good as mine. I'm sure there's a reason, but I just don't know what it is. Meantime, over here we're again rallying forces. We actually have that beginning of the second army, we have that beginnings of another army that you saw me just move, and we're adding those horses in there. Cavalry. We're adding those cavalry. Anyway, we also have, and we're going to be combining these praetorians along with them as well eventually. Now again, for the time being, it's going to take us a few more turns to get that army prepped before we can actually go anywhere and do stuff with it. But that is to be expected. So here we are capturing the settlement from the Scipii, no problems whatsoever. We outnumbered them substantially, and we're able to just auto-resolve. It did take a while to load there. I'm not sure what's up with that, but we exterminate the populace, and of course we're going to repair the walls right away, because we don't want them to be able to retake it. So this fleet over here, we're going to actually be using to pick up those cavalries there. I believe I already mentioned that, actually. But yeah, so there we have, you can see kind of the ship picking up that army there. And then we also have more troops that we're going to pick up near Corduba. That is the end of this turn, and we have a few fights going on here. Actually, I was surprised that I won the auto-resolve on naval battle, but either way, I'm not going to complain. And then we have, as you see here, well, ignore those rioting, that's not important, but we do have the suitable husband, which of course we will accept, because we always need more generals. So at this point, we don't need more generals, but seeing how some of our generals might die at any time, particularly some of the ones that are old, we will of course take them, and we'll send him south where he's needed more. Now at this point we have this actual general, because that guy that we put in the army, I just put there in case the army got attacked, because I wanted to have a general. But we're going to be putting this guy because he's a better commander, and he's he's younger, better commander, so he's the one we want leading the assault with that really awesome army there. And then this guy, as you see, is really, really high management, so that's why we're keeping him stacked up in that settlement. Now we're actually sending the Praetorians over to get, I believe they're going to be getting retrained because they're slightly damaged, so we're going to go ahead and retrain them before we send them out. And we have a couple turns because we have this army right here, which we're going to go, but we have this one unit of legionaries that has 9 guys left in it, and that legionary unit has been coming all the way from the north, and it's sort of like, man, that legionary, it's got a lot of experience, and it's been through a lot. So I'm looking forward to it finally getting back and being retrained at Rome, because I think at this point, not Rome, our capital. I don't remember the name of our capital, but it's not Rome. It's whatever our capital is, and it's actually the only one that we have of our actual settlements in Europe that can actually train legionaries. Now, of course, we have Rome and some of these other ones that belong to the Scipii and Brutii that we captured, of course, but Either way. And here, of course, once again, we get into this. I have lots of troubles with getting the navies to do what I want, and eventually I just give up. This was the one I was mistaken. I thought last time was the one I gave up on, but it was actually this one. I eventually give up and just say, you know what, screw it. That one strip's going to just stay on its own, and we're going to move it into the port here in just a moment when I finally do give up. But yeah, you can see this goes on for a while. And yeah, I honestly don't know what was going on with that. I know it has something to do with like the admirals and the experience or something, but I'm really not sure. So we we basically take this army from here, which we load onto this ship, and this was actually going to initially be the one we were going to send over, but I decided, you know what, we're going to send it to Sicily. So we're going to end up sending that army over to Sicily, and we are going to get a second army boarded up. And you know, at that point, like I saw like it wouldn't let me, and I'm like, screw it, we're not even messing with that. So we're going to attack this fleet here, and we actually lose, even though we were slightly had the advantage. But either way, we lost, so whatever. Move the single ship fleet in, and we're now in the north attacking this settlement from the Brudii. So overall, we're actually making really good progress. I haven't shown it yet, but in one of the upcoming episodes, I will actually start regularly showing you guys how many provinces we have left before we win the campaign, because we are actually getting relatively close to that point. I believe at this point we had, I think, 15 provinces. No. I think it was 10 to 15 provinces that we had to capture. So we are a decent ways to go, but all in all, we have this army, which we're getting ready to send. We have another army, with the one with all the urban cohorts, which is also on its way to start capturing settlements. And then we have the ones we're sending to Sicily, which will also be able to hopefully capture all the settlements there in Sicily. Yep, so we got a couple of naval battles, and then that's pretty much it for our turn. Pretty uneventful. I'm very glad that the Brudii haven't been attacking. Well, actually, as you saw, they did besiege that one settlement, but they haven't attacked us yet. So that gives us a couple turns to gather or kind of combine our units up to make sure they're proper, you know, an adequate strength to fight and all that. So here we have, I kind of shift units around, and I'm kind of deciding which I take. I believe I end up taking all the urban cohort, of course, and then I believe all legionnaires, or I opt to, at the last second, I changed to take one auxilia, just to have a little bit balanced, and kind of the auxilia are useful because they can pretty much be retrained in most settlements, even ones that don't have the legionary barracks, so they can kind of be used as, they're also good units to leave behind as garrisons. Obviously, they're not nearly as useful against other Roman factions, because Roman factions are primarily built around infantry. So we don't have to worry about cavalry as much as we had to against some other factions, like, for example, the Carthaginians. Though we didn't actually have auxiliaries when we fought. Either way, you get what I mean. The Romans don't usually have too much cavalry for us to worry about. But here, this is the third army, or second army, I guess, in the north here that we are rallying up. And it's almost to the point where we're going to be able to send it out and start doing some work. But meantime, we have this massive army of really amazing urban cohorts, which I'm super excited to actually fight a battle with, which should be coming up relatively soon. As you saw, we're making good progress down that coastal road. I was contemplating how many units to send, and I opted to just play it safe and send probably more than I needed to, but I wanted to just auto-resolve the battle. I didn't want to have to fight it because it would just take time, so I wanted to make sure I had enough. And then we, of course, finish off these rebels here, and then we're going to be sending these people, these forces are going to be joining the garrison temporarily at Narbu Martius, temporarily just because I want to get them retrained. And then here we have the battle for this episode, which is, of course, going to be us. It's our army we had besieging is now being attacked by a much larger force. So the enemies have a small, tiny force of reinforcements coming in, but obviously I'm not really that worried about it. The main units that we're going to have to deal with are, of course, the one that we are being attacked by, and they had a couple units of artillery. I believe they had 2 units of catapults as well, so we're going to have to use our cavalry to strike against those as quickly as possible. Now, I skipped over part of my deployment, mostly because you will see in a moment I made a really big mistake. I forgot about some of my units. You might have already spotted that on the minimap. I have 3 units way back behind my lines, and you're probably thinking, like, why? And so I tried to just do my guys do the, form up and click, because usually they maintain their formation, and when they didn't, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So I was thinking, I have no idea what that was causing that, so I try and do it again, and that's when I realized, like, wait a minute, why do I have 3 units of infantry that aren't selected? And then I was like, crap, I forgot about these guys back here. So, time to have them double tying it up to the front lines. So, yeah, and again, I don't know why the units this battle, they just weren't wanting to maintain their current formation when I just right-clicked. Usually they do. So I kind of skipped over the part because I basically just redid my formation. As you can see, actually, I'm doing the final touches to it. So I skipped most of it because I just am basically remaking my formation that I already had set up in my deployment, but for some reason the units weren't wanting to advance up and maintain it. Meanwhile, we also are going to send our cavalry up, and of course, one unit of cavalry will have to be dedicated to attacking the enemy artillery because I want to take those out as quickly as possible because they can be quite nasty. We'll have send our general up as well, and then of course we have our 3 units in the back, which I forgot about. Also have to run to catch up. Now at this point we are actually attacking downhill. The enemies are the Brutii are having to come uphill, so that is of course a great advantage for us. However, one thing I will say is that the enemy army here had, I believe, 4 or 5 units of Praetorians, and then also some units of legionaries, and I think maybe 1 or 2 units of urban cohorts. No, they didn't have any urban cohorts, but they did have a substantial, like they had like half of their infantry were Praetorians. As where I have no Praetorians in my army. So this was, I was a little bit worried about this battle because of that. Going into it, I knew, okay, these guys have Praetorians, and like half their infantry is Praetorians, and then the other half is legionaries. And I think they might have 1 or maybe 2 early legionaries, but for the most part, they had mainly legionaries and Praetorians. So of course, Praetorians being better than legionaries, I was a little bit concerned because I only had 4 units of as you see here, I only have 4 units of legionaries, and the rest are all early legionaries. So I was a little bit concerned, but as our lines begin to clash and we're getting stuck in, I obviously want to prioritize and taking down those catapults because they're starting to fire, and I don't think they actually do any substantial damage, but they looked scary. They looked scary, and I'd rather my guys not get demoralized by getting hit by catapults. And of course, we have to fix the audio bug because I not a bug, but I accidentally deactivated the audio by some unknown hotkey, which I have no idea what I'm doing, but I do that. That happens sometimes. So we're trying to, at this point, kind of, as you see, I'm trying to choose where I want each of my units to send, kind of where the best location for each of my units to charge in. Particularly on this right flank here, I only had early legionaries, so all my legionaries were on the left and center. So I was a little bit concerned that my early legionaries wouldn't be able to hold against the Praetorians and legionaries. So I really wanted to try and... So basically, I needed to break some of the enemy units as quickly as possible. And so we have our mercenary cavalry, which is, I believe it's... I don't remember what it's called, but it's not just the normal mercenary cavalry. It's a kind of more heavy mercenary cavalry from this region that we're in. I don't remember what it's called. It starts with an S, I know that. But we're trying to send them on the left flank to try again and try and break some of these enemy units. And as you see here, I'm getting everything engaged at once. Usually I kind of keep 1 unit, 1, maybe 2 units in reserve. But at this time, it's like, nope, we got to send everything in because we have to start routing some enemy units. Otherwise, if we get bogged down into an extended fight, our early legionaries on the right flank, there's no way they're going to be able to stand up against full-on legionaries and Praetorian Guard. Just no way whatsoever. They're going to be outclassed by the better, more advanced, and more elite heavy infantry. So meanwhile, we do have our 3 units of reinforcing early legionaries coming up. Now, as you saw there, I'm going to basically send 1 of them in the center, 1 of them left, and 1 of them right. Now, I'm pretty sure I end up sending the one that I was going to go to the center. I actually end up diverting it to the right because, again, early legionaries are all I have on the right, and so I'd rather kind of stack up more guys there. But as you saw, our auxilia just routed, so my plan was to send that one guy over to help on the right flank where I thought we were going to need it more, but our auxilia broke here in the center, so we got to plug the gap with these reinforcements, which of course they've been running for catching up because I forgot to deploy them. So again, that's not great either. But we do get our first unit routed on the right flank there, as you see, and so it's that. Okay, at that point, time to push the advantage. We routed the first unit, and there another one routes, and then the third, and at that point it's. Yeah, and then their general routes, so they have 4 units, most of their units on the right flank are now routing, so we're going to just run those guys down. I was actually really proud of our early legionaries on the right flank. I was not expecting them to be able to do as well as they did, but yeah, they actually were able to go toe-to-toe with normal legionaries and Praetorian Guards, more or less even numbers as well, and actually come out winning. Now, of course, they came out winning because we had cavalry support. But as you saw there, we have effectively taken out their artillery, and are kind of going to have our 1 unit of cavalry to catch routing units now. So now it's also time to get some of our guys brought back over. Oh, I'm sorry, we did have 1 unit of legionaries on the right there. So my mistake there. I thought they were only early legionaries, but no, we do in fact have 1 of our legionaries there. But again, mostly early legionaries, so the point still stands. Now at this point, we have we're gonna start sending the rest of our guys back over here to help in this kind of giant mess on the left flank. We've effectively surrounded their de facto center at this point. Their center kind of split apart, and so it's kind of the rightmost part of their left flank. Actually, I guess of their right flank. Actually, it's the leftmost part of their right flank. I had that backwards. But either way, we get our cavalry charges in here. We have them surrounded. They start routing in droves, and it's time to just cut them down. And you probably guessed kind of the rest of the outcome of this battle. However, I didn't use my cavalry particularly well this battle because some of their units are actually able to rally in that small forest where I have a few of my units. So as you see there, I'm trying to send my units in to chase them down, but my infantry are not able to catch their guys. So again, like I said, I didn't use my cavalry optimally. I should have had one unit of cavalry finish those units off before they were able to rally, but they were able to rally. And I think it was a unit of early legionaries and then a unit of Praetorian guards, I believe, are the two units that actually rallied from the Brudii. But I'm not. But we'll see here in a moment when I go over to check that out. But they do actually rally, and so we have to kind of fight them a little bit longer. So again, like I said, should have had my cavalry chase those guys down, but minor mistake overall. I'm fairly confident that we're gonna win this battle. I don't think their Praetorians are going to be enough to turn the tide at this point, seeing as how most of their army is routed or dead, and most of ours is still on the field and relatively healthy. We did take a decent number of casualties though. And of course, you see kind of in the background there, kind of on the left side of the road in the forest, in the tree line, the reinforcing Brudii units coming up. They're actually the garrison of the city that we were besieging. So we're going to just kind of start rallying our guys up to go and face them off. But we do have that unit of Praetorians there, which we are, of course, going to have to try and take out. But we have our cavalry positioned perfectly to charge from behind, and our general's going to go in as well. So I don't have much hope for the Praetorians, though they do. I have to say, the Praetorians, they did rally up, so that is actually no. These aren't even Praetorians; they're just legionary cohorts. So yeah, they rout right away. I'm sorry, for some reason I thought those were Praetorians. And our mercenary, yeah, you saw them there. I think it's Samathian or something. Again, I'm terrible with names, but whatever those cavalry units were, they routed, but that's fine. They're just mercenaries. We don't really care. And besides, they did their job fine. At that point, I was like, holy crap. Where did that rock come from? I thought my cavalry had taken out the catapults, and they did, but once again, I didn't finish them off. So the catapults actually rallied, and they remanned their artillery and attacked. So yes, okay, that's the Praetorians. I knew there was a unit of Praetorians that rallied in the small forest here. I just didn't remember that there were... no, I actually did mention that there were two units that rallied. So yeah, the legionary unit was the first one that rallied, and we fought, and then the Praetorians were going to be engaging in just a few seconds. But for the most part, that's pretty much it for this battle. We do have the enemy reinforcements that we have to finish off, but you can probably guess the outcome. And yeah, so we sent our cavalry in to finish off those catapults, because again, they did reman their catapults and start firing again. And then we have, of course, right here in the woods, our general and the last couple of units there routed the Praetorians and were giving chase to them. As you see, the enemy reinforcements are now coming up, and you can kind of just see like how many units we have versus how many units they have. So the outcome's fairly obvious at this point. But we do kind of form our auxilia up, because I believe is that a actual general, or is that just a unit of cavalry? I'm not sure. It is a unit of cavalry, but I don't know if it's a actual general's bodyguard or just the ones. Maybe if I mouse over it long enough for me to read it, we can see. Okay, probably not. Doesn't look like I'm going to. Either way, they do. Okay, no, yes, it was a general's bodyguard. So, general's bodyguard here. Get my auxilia stuck in to kind of get them tied down. And at this point, we are going to pretty much charge in with everything else we have, including our own general, as the rest of our cavalry are... Actually, I don't know what the rest of our cavalry is doing at this point, so that's probably a mistake on my part. So yeah, enemy general runs away, the dastardly cowards. See, that's why the Julii are the true Romans. The cowardly Brudii run all the time, and of course the Scipii didn't do really anything significantly in the grand scheme of things of the campaign as a whole. So the Scipii suck, we know that, and of course the Brudii... Yeah, the Brudii, they're dirty cowards. So the Julii are the only true Romans. And that's, of course, why we deserve to be emperors, and why we're taking over everything. And also why we are succeeding at taking over everything, because, of course, the Julii are the true Romans. And actually, historically speaking, I believe... I'm fairly sure that Julius Caesar was actually from... I don't know if he was actually from the Julii, because, of course, Rome Total War kind of has a dumbed-down... Roman family system, but overall I'm actually fairly certain that Julius Caesar did come from what would be, in terms of the game, the Juliad. But anyway, as you see here, I'm pretty much just able to completely surround their 2 tiny little poor units that are going to get massacred, and our cavalry are coming around for a flank charge, and of course they're completely surrounded. Our cavalry don't even get in before they start routing, but our cavalry sure as heck is not going to allow them to get away. And so we rout them, and of course they have 1 unit of skirmishing cavalry over here. They're the javelin throwing cavalry. I don't remember what they're called, but they rout as we just draw near. So that is it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday for more Total War Through the Ages. And as always, till next time.